So the heavily rumored Switch Pro we think we're getting in 2021 might not be exactly what we thought. I think this probably makes the most sense out of any of the Switch Pro rumors or speculation or anything I've heard to date, and there's a lot. What's up, guys? If you're new here, the link to the Discord is down in the description. Click that link and let's just go ahead and get started with this video. So recently, I heard a conversation between some people who are much more knowledgeable on this subject than I am, and I'm gonna link that down below so you can see the whole thing. It's like an hour and a half long. Awesome stuff there. But what I'm talking about is the Nate the Hate podcast. The usual hosts are Nate himself and Modern Vintage Gamer. If you're not familiar, definitely check that podcast out. It is awesome. Lots of cool stuff like this about the Switch Pro they've been doing recently. Very interesting stuff. So anyway, their podcast from last week, they had someone from Digital Foundry on, and they were all talking about really two different sets of rumors. Maybe. They might be two different, they might be the same, but all the things they had to say about this, especially one scenario. Well, I guess I kind of took some things from a few of their scenarios and pieced it together as what I think is probably the most probable thing that will happen. But some of this stuff I never even thought about. And obviously, they've got a lot more information than a lot of us do. So I guess that would definitely help to be able to come to some of these conclusions. So anyway, they were discussing kind of some scenarios and the way that these things could go. And one of them just seemed so blatantly obvious to me. I could not believe that I hadn't heard it before. As I said, with a few tweaks, but it makes so much sense and it follows right in line with what Nintendo would do. But right before we get into that, I do want to make sure everybody knows this is all based on rumors. This is nothing from Nintendo. All this is just opinions based on information that's out there. So now that we're all on the same page here, I want to go ahead and start and just give you guys the Switch. What I think is gonna be coming in 2021, how it's gonna be delivered, and then I'll kind of give you some reasons that they were saying on the podcast that kind of back that up, and really, it just makes a whole lot of sense. We will be talking about the Bloomberg article from a few weeks ago too, and I guess they just put another one out today, doubling down on this Switch Pro, but really what they're saying isn't really pointing towards a Switch Pro. What they're saying this thing can do could be done by the Switch right now with a few little tweaks. So I think the most probable thing that we are going to be seeing this year is a new Nintendo Switch, a Switch XL. I don't know what they're gonna call it. To me, the way that I'm seeing this, it seems more likely to be a new Nintendo Switch, not an XL, because as far as the outside design goes, I think the chances are very good at this point that it's gonna look almost the same. I think maybe they'll add some colors. Maybe we'll be able to buy it in, you know, a blue and a purple or whatever. But I think for the most part, the outside is going to be the same, except for the 7-inch Samsung OLED display that they are going to be putting in this thing. Now that's where the Bloomberg report comes in. We have heard Samsung is going to be supplying these 7-inch monitors for Nintendo to use in the revision of the Switch. But again, I don't think this is for the Pro. This is a 720 screen, no different. And I'm not even sure if the Pro will have anything different than a 720 screen, but that's a whole different video. Right now, I just want to focus on this one. So you're going to be going from a 6.2-inch screen to a 7-inch screen. As I said, that can fit in the regular Switch's body. You wouldn't have to really change anything. All you're really going to do is have less of a bezel around the screen, which is going to look way better. We just got another set of Joycons announced today, which are pretty much the other sides of these Fortnite Joycons, and we have the Skyward Sword Joycons coming out too. I think all those are going to fit on this revision. I think it's going to be the same size. I think these will all work. That's why they're putting so many of them out. So I think the most probable thing we're going to see out of this Switch is this will be just a revised version of the Switch we have right now. This is not going to be any type of upgrade graphically, handheld anyway, and it's not going to be any type of upgrade as far as the internals go. It's probably going to play the Switch games just like it does right now in handheld mode. Now they also talked about a dock. We're going to see the incentive here, the reason for someone to buy this new Switch. A little bit bigger screen alone probably isn't gonna get a whole lot of people excited about just dropping the Switch they have for less than an inch bigger screen. Yeah, it's OLED, it's gonna look better, but I just don't think that's quite enough for, you know, the normal person out there to be like, yeah, I need to go buy this new Switch just to have a little tiny bit bigger screen. And to be honest, I'm really not even how sure I am that Nintendo is trying to get more people to go buy a new Switch. I think this is more of just the revision, keeping the one that we have fresh. But the added incentive to go buy would be some type of 4K capability in the dock, and it is possible. I have actually argued this point with Uncle Jeeb, who is actually putting a video out on the same thing very soon. I'm gonna link his video down in the description. Make sure you guys get over there and follow him. He just started his YouTube channel, so make sure you guys go give him some support and definitely check out that video. Anyway, so him and I have been arguing back and forth, and I have said for the longest time, no, they will never put anything in just the dock. But I think, you know, now that I've heard some people talk about it who obviously have more, you know, more knowledge and more information than I do, the way that it was explained there, and again, I'm gonna link that below as well so you can hear the whole thing, but the way that it was explained makes so much sense. Just to put a very basic 4K upscaling something in the new dock. And there's a reason for this. One, if the Switch Pro is going to do 4K, if it's gonna do 4K 60, it has to have an upgraded HDMI port, which the current dock does not have. It has an HDMI 1.4, I think, and you need an HDMI 2.0 to be able to do 4K 60. So if this new Switch is going to do that, it makes a lot of sense to start getting these docks out there and start phasing out the old ones. Getting the docks that are going to work with both of these Switches, and why not include it in the refresh of the one that you're about to put out? So then you've got those already being assembled, already out there. Then you've got the screens, the new bigger screens already going in. Whether those will be used for the Switch Pro or not later on, who knows? But the dock especially, I think that makes total sense. Get the right HDMI port on the back of that thing, so when you do have these really, you know, these higher resolutions, this better frame rate, that you're gonna be able to do that on the TV with no problem. So the revision will offer a bigger screen, 4K upscaling, so better visuals on both ends, really, is what they can kind of market it with that. And doing it this way, it really wouldn't even need to be a huge thing. I think it would be a little more than what they did with the V1 to the V2 Switch. I don't think this would be a silent revision. I think they would definitely say, hey, going forward, these Switches are going to have the 7-inch screen. They are going to, they're gonna have the 4K output on the TV. And eventually these will just phase out the old ones that are on the shelves right now. I think that's what we are getting in 2021. I don't think we're getting a Switch Pro yet. I think that is what is coming maybe early 2022. It looks like what we're gonna end up having here is an Xbox One S and X situation. You had your regular Xbox One, which would be the Switch we have now. And then you had the X and the S, which would be, going forward, our new Nintendo Switch and our new Nintendo Switch Pro. And another thing I did want to touch on here is they say that the current chip in the Switch, Nvidia is actually about to stop making those, which, you know, that could be true, that might not be true. Who really knows about that? But if they are, it kind of makes sense. I mean, first off, Nvidia is not just gonna tell Nintendo, sorry, we don't have your chip anymore. They're not gonna do that. They're selling way too many of these things. That's never gonna happen. So they're probably allowing Nintendo to stockpile these things. So Nintendo could have enough chips to support whatever they're gonna be doing with these things for the next year, 2 years, who knows? Who knows how long? Who knows how many they have if that's the route that they're going. But it also opens up the production lines to start on this new chip for the Switch Pro or even the Switch 2. I mean, who really knows where we're gonna go with this? So I think this makes a ton of sense. I think this is probably going to be at least close to what we see going forward. If you look back with the DS, the 3DS, the way that they changed those and just revise them all the time, that would fall right in line with what they did with the 3DS, the new 3DS, 3DS XL, the new 3DS XL. It makes a lot of sense to do it this way. But I do have one more question that has gone completely unanswered in all of this, and that is, what is going to happen with the Switch Lite? Does it just get the one version, no revision? Or is there maybe another secret, how big would that be? A 6-inch screen that's also going to be going into the new Switch Lites going forward that will also get announced right alongside this new Nintendo Switch? Who really knows? But guys, I'm gonna send this one over to you. I wanna know down in the comments, obviously, what do you think about all this? Make sure you guys check out the podcast too, because it was very informative. There's a lot of stuff they talked about in there that I did not cover in this video, but all in all, I think what we've discussed here is probably something that we're going to see. Again, just my opinion. All this is rumors. But guys, like I said, let me know down in the comments what you think about all this. That is gonna do it for this one, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like. Make sure you are subscribed. We'll see you in the next one.